evening. My name is Carrie Michael, and you're listening to Speak Up Arkansas on KABF 88.3 FM. March 14th is Pi Day at the Arkansas State Capitol. Every year since 2019, disability advocates have converged on the Capitol during Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. But this event raises more than just awareness. The goal is to provide an opportunity for people with disabilities to build connections with legislators, to advocate for laws that help to improve the lives of people with disabilities. Disability advocacy organizations will be on hand with information about the work they do in the community. And yes, there really will be pie, thanks to our friends at the Pulaski Technical College's culinary school. But disability self-advocates want to make sure that decision makers don't just think about these issues on Pi Day. Leaders in the disability movement know all too well that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And they're here to make sure that the voices of people with disabilities are heard, their lived experience acknowledged and understood. And that is what they want to bring awareness to on Pi Day. Not just one day in 1 month, but all year long, all the time, people with disabilities are impacted directly and daily by public policy decisions. And they've got some opinions about that. Making sure people with disabilities get their fair piece of the pie today on Speak Up Arkansas. We're excited to be a part of KABF's weekly Speak Up Arkansas program to encourage dialogue about the issues that matter most to people with disabilities, their families and caregivers, and to educate the public about these issues. To make Arkansas a truly inclusive state where everyone's personhood and contributions are valued. This show is pre-recorded, so we won't be taking calls live, but we welcome your questions and comments. So give us a call at 800-482-1174, or you can find us online at www.disabilityrightsar.org. We're also on Facebook at Disability Rights AR, and you'll find us on Twitter at DR Arkansas. So we have got a fantastic panel for you all this evening, and I want to get right to it. We are joined first and foremost by our own Allie Tomlinson. She is the director of Arkansas Alliance for Disability Advocacy. Shannon Rivas, who is a board member of Disability Rights, and she is also committee coordinator and secretary for Arkansas People First. Tanner Maxwell, who is with LEND. Get ready, settle in. Here's what that stands for: Leadership Education in Neurodevelopmental and Related Disabilities. And he's the Advocacy Council member for the Alliance for Disability Advocacy. And finally, with us again this week is Tom Massaw, Executive Director, Disability Rights Arkansas. Thanks so much for being with us, y'all.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yay. All right, so Allie, tell us about Pi Day. What happens on Pi Day?
Well, like you said earlier, it is an event that's held at the state capitol on March 14th. So if that piques any of our math interested people, that's 3.14. So we start our day at 10 o'clock at the Capitol Rotunda on the 3rd floor of the Capitol with a press conference. We're hearing from self-advocates, organizational leaders, state legislators, and we're really honoring Developmental Disability Awareness Month. So directly after the press conference, we will indulge in pie, just like you said earlier. That's provided by Pulaski Tech University's 3D department. And I mean, we can't call it Pie Day for nothing, right? So we have to have that there. But we allow all participants to just have time to connect and talk and really share their stories with the people who really need to hear them most, all while visiting vendor tables that will be set up. So we've got organizations there from around the state of Arkansas that will be joining us, just like the Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities, Disability Rights Arkansas, and even the Arkansas Disability Coalition, and so many more. So we really give the participants of the event the opportunity to exchange stories, advocate for their needs, and gain the information that maybe they've been looking for. And after that, at 11:30, we will head out to the front steps of the Capitol for a rally where we'll hear personally from people with disabilities about their lived experiences and the barriers that stop them from living independently, their rights to live in the community, and the supports that they need to do so. And we will be partnering with Arkansas People First to do that.
Awesome. So to be clear, and we'll have this in the show notes as well, the program starts at 10 a.m. in the Rotunda, followed by vendors and pie and fellowship. And then at 11:30, we move out onto the steps for a rally. The public is invited to attend all of this.
Yes, we need the public there. That's the whole reason why we're having this event. We want to make sure that we are providing a pathway to advocacy. So we are setting up the place for the public and the community members that want to advocate. We're providing a time. We are getting the legislators there. And the only thing that they have to do is show up and tell their stories to the people that need to hear it. Show up and tell the person that's supposed to be representing them exactly how to do that. So we need the public to come so we can execute this.
Love it. All right.
Okay, can I ask Ellie a question? Does the public need to pre-register? I mean, how will you ensure that there's enough pie for everybody?
That's a wonderful question, Tom. We would love for the public to pre-register so we can make sure and have a head count for the 3D department. They have been just phenomenal and being there for us since 2019, since we started this. So they have been making pie for us, building that into the curriculum, for a few years now, and serving that to our legislators and really letting us know exactly what their program is all about also. And so making sure to register for the event. It is circulating now on Twitter, on Facebook, and just all place social media, and even you may find it in your inbox if you check that, because that's been sent out. But we would love to be able to have a head count and just make it a little easier on our partners.
Perfect. So if you follow Disability Rights Arkansas on Facebook or Twitter, or if you go to our website or you sign up for our emails, we'll send you you'll find pre-registration information there. We will also put it in the show notes for this episode. So you will be able to find it and let us know that you'll be with us on 3/14.
Yes, and Carrie, along with that registration, we also have a spot to nominate someone in your community that is doing just an amazing and outstanding job advocating for others, and that has really tried to make a difference in this last year. So we would love to be able to present someone with an award. So if anyone wants to nominate someone, please reach out and go to your inbox. It'll be right there in that invitation. Just check with us on social media. The nomination form is very simple. It should take under 2 minutes. We just want to hear why you think that they've been making a difference.
That's so nice, because everybody knows somebody who really goes above and beyond. And so now's your opportunity to nominate that person as an outstanding advocate. That's fun. So tell us this. So Community of Champions has been doing this, as you mentioned, for a few years now. What is Community of Champions?
Community of Champions actually started this in 2019, like I said. It first was a very small advocacy and educational program that has grown into something much bigger now. It is now the Arkansas Alliance for Disability Advocacy. What we're trying to do is to make sure that we give every single person the tools that they need to be an advocate, either for themselves or each other. We have a SAND project, which is for self-advocates, Community of Champions, which is for all community members, to make sure that they have the tools that they need to be an advocate right now, and partners and policy making underneath that alliance umbrella. So this year will be the first year that Community of Champions has grown into the alliance, and the Arkansas Alliance for Disability Advocacy is actually going to host the annual Pie Day at the Capitol. So it's very exciting for us. All of the hard work that Community of Champions put in has grown into something just magnificent, and we can reach so many more people now. But like you said, it's been going on for a while, and the only thing that we're doing now is making Pie Day bigger and better this year.
That is awesome. So Tanner, when you and I crossed paths first, you were involved with community champions in doing kind of voter education work, encouraging people and talking to them about the importance of voting. You've been an advocate for a while now. How did you first get involved with Community of Champions?
I first got involved with the Community of Champions back in 2018. I was in my junior year of high school, and that's how I got to start learning about Disability Rights Arkansas, um and what it was all about, and through the governor's council on developmental disabilities, and then it was in November of 2018 I got a high school internship, for through friendship for Community of Champions, and so my senior year I was an intern, and then once I graduated, then I stayed on as a volunteer, and then in November of 2019, right, I was hired on as an employee of Community and Champions in a friendship as a as a self-advocate technician, and I that's how I got involved in it, and so Community Champions has been, has really been, part of my life ever since I was in high school. So, and it's helped me grow as an advocate, and I did speak on the Capitol at the first Pi Day event, well, actually on the Capitol steps, and then the second year that we did it right before the COVID pandemic in 2020, actually spoke in the rotunda. So I had that experience, and I am ready this year for sure to let my voice be heard, and let my peers, and have their voices be heard too, and
Yeah,
so
that's amazing. Well, you're no stranger to the Capitol
I
or
know.
to leadership. Yeah, they've seen you around. They see you coming. So let me ask you this, Shannon, you're involved in self-advocacy too, in a different, in a different regard, like disability movement organizing. Tell us about Arkansas People First. What is it? Who's involved? Give us a little background.
I'm sure. Arkansas People First began in 1997 when it was originally called People First of Arkansas. It was under an agency in Fayetteville, Arkansas called Lifestyles Incorporated. And in the beginning, it had a board and a chapter from Northwest Arkansas. That's Fayetteville and Springdale. And then in 1998, our organization expanded as a statewide self-advocacy groups, which 11 chapters, and an advisory state board that's made up of chapter reps and state officers, also known as the executive committee. And in the same year, we had our first state conference in Springdale, which was very successful. And we had a lot of self-advocates from all over the state to get involved in workshops and meet new people and have a good time. And we had state conferences for the years, not just in Springdale, but we also had one in Little Rock, We also had one in Hot Springs as well. APF, which is short for Arkansas People First, originally had funding for lifestyles. That's through the Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities. And in the early 2000s, probably around 2001, we finally collaborated with the University of Arkansas Currents, helped us get funding until 2009, when we collaborate with Arkansas Support Network, which is in Springdale. And until 2011, 2012, DDC had to cease funding for the organizations. But we continue on as a self-advocacy organization in our state. We've had 3 state coordinators through the years. We had a state advisor, we had a chapter coordinator, and right now we have a community coordinator, that's me, which I've got involved in since 2007. And prior to that, I was on the board and being state secretary. My hope is to recruit new self-advocates who want to learn what self-advocacy means to them, give them in the community, and be like everyone else, to have a voice be heard. And maybe forming new chapters and bringing back chapters that have not met for a long, long time, and provide trainings like Reaching My Own Greatness and Project Vote, as we have in the past.
Fantastic. So there are a lot of ways to get involved, and we're going to share a little bit later on how you can get involved with Arkansas People First if you want to get involved with that, and also how to get involved with the Arkansas Alliance for Disability Advocacy. But there's a lot to talk about as it relates to what to advocate for. Like, there's never been a better time to be involved in the disability movement. There's always something going on where we need to be paying attention, and it's here that I kind of want to shift to you, Tom. So not only is March, so next month is Developmental Disability Awareness Month, but the Arkansas legislature is in session now. They're expected to approve a plan by Governor Hutchinson to move over 3,000 people off of the Medicaid waiver waiting list. I don't think anybody would say that's bad news, but I'd love for you to give us a little bit of context on what this means for those folks, but also what it means for folks after that waiting list is emptied out and there's a new one.
Yeah, so great question. I think, something that the advocacy community really has been pushing for many, many years was to eliminate the current waiting list for individuals trying to receive services through the state. And as you just stated, and back in December, I believe it was, the governor announced that a deal has been made that the waiting list is going to be will be ended in 3 years, meaning at the first phase, year 1. He's asked the legislature to approve transferring, allocating money from the state Department of Human Services funding to eliminate or to absorb some more slots to serve more people. And then in the same breath, they're going to do that in year 2 and year 3, which is great news for those who've been on the waiting list, some for 10 years or longer. And we certainly support that. We're a little bit, concerned as to, what happens in year 2, because, we do have an election coming up. We're going to have a whole new administration. We're going to have new legislators at the Capitol, and our hope is that they will continue the governor's promise to continue eliminating the waiting list. But that really doesn't address the bigger problem that we have in the state, is what happens to those individuals who need services now, who are just on the waiting list. We're starting another waiting list for those families and those individuals. We're not addressing the ones that still need services. And I think that's a big problem that the state really hasn't addressed. And it's my hope that when, after Pi Day and even continuing on until the legislative session, that self-advocates and supporters and allies will come together and continue to push the state to address this structural problem we have, which is we are not providing services in the community for individuals who need them. The only, we have a bunch of institutions across the state, But we have a much larger waiting list for people trying to receive services in the community. I think the trend has shifted more to community service and supports than the bricks and mortar. So I think that's going to be the biggest discussion coming up. And as you mentioned in the beginning, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And I think looking at over the course of the years, a lot of the disability community has been kind of on the outside looking in. And now's the time to really shift that perspective and, bust your way through those doors and say, here I am, I want to be part of the conversation. Don't leave me out. Don't make choices for me. I need to be making choices for myself.
So, yeah, absolutely. That's a great breakdown of that issue. And then, there's also some talk about the need for more direct support professionals, people to serve all those people as they come off of the waiting list. What plans are in place, or if not, what are advocates asking for? What's needed for those folks?
I think it kind of goes back to priorities of the state. The governor just announced that he's going to be, allocating money to build a 400-bed prison to accommodate people who are currently housed in prisons. But yet, we continue to push and push and push just for basic services in the community for people with disabilities. And the problem is we don't have enough direct support professionals to provide those services. So even if today the governor said, and the legislature said, here is this influx of money to provide services to people who need them, we still don't have enough direct support professionals to provide those services. So part of the discussion is how can we look at bringing more people into the workforce, still maintaining the high level of standards, because in the past, the disability community has been given scraps and that they've been happy with that. And we've been able to, look at credentialing and different skill sets of people and lowering those standards to serve people. And we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that the high level of quality is still being provided across the state. But in doing so, they need to put money back into looking at ways to incentivize people to take these jobs. And I think you first have to look at is how much are we paying people? How much we're paying between $12 and $13 an hour for services to support somebody in the community. Well, if I know that McDonald's, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, all those groups are going to be paying me, $17, and I get healthcare and, tuition reimbursements, and shoot, why do I want to get this much when I can go over here and make that much? I think that's a conversation that needs to be had, is how committed is the state to ensure that they're going to be providing quality supports for people in the community? And until the state really addresses that priority issue, then we're going to continue to have this debate and discussion. That's why I think it's important, not only for Pi Day, but also for Arkansas People First, to really begin supporting them in their efforts to increase their membership and help getting their voice out across the state.
Those are really good points. And I think this is certainly not a problem that's specific to direct support professionals. I mean, don't you find that sort of care professions generally are undervalued across the board? Early childhood care is undervalued and underpaid. Direct support is underpaid. What are, and anyone can jump in on this, but what are some of the efforts to be made to kind of educate legislators about the skill set that's actually required to do this work and how important it is?
If I can jump in, I think, again, enough with the lip service, put your money where your mouth is. Because, just today, not only are we looking at increasing and building a new prison, there's been, a push to provide $5,000 to law enforcement officers, a one-time payment. I'm not saying that's bad. What I'm saying is we're building a prison, we're providing more money in the pockets of law enforcement, but when it comes to individuals providing basic services and supports to people who want to live in the community, there's nothing there for them. And even same thing for the early childhood. What are we doing? What are we doing for healthcare workers who, during the pandemic and all these things? It seems as though we're like tough on law and order, but when it comes to basic human services, you kind of get by what you need.
Yeah, the money never seems to be there
Right.
for those things.
Right.
Any of our self-advocates want to weigh in on that?
I can jump into it. I know people want to make money and have to pay your bills and buying a house and a car and then put your savings in a bank account. It's going to take a long time for a person who wants to work 24/7 and get holidays off. I think that's a big difference for employees.
Right. Yeah.
That people need to be able to make enough money to live on. Right. I mean, they're not asking to get rich doing it, but can they live? Can people live? And that's a conversation that's that's being had across so much stuff, is like, how can we ensure that people have a wage that keeps up with the cost of living life? So, so we're involved in a lot of issues. And I think it's interesting to note that when we talk about disability issues, certainly we're talking about the issues that are specific to people with disability, but also, people with disabilities represent the largest minority group that exists. It exists across all racial barriers, all, ethnicities, nationalities, gender identities. I mean, everybody, every group has a group of people in it that has disability. And so, I'd be hard pressed to name an issue that isn't ultimately of interest to people with disabilities. So there's a lot, it's a lot, and important to talk to your legislators about it. So, Allie, I want to ask you a little bit, kind of going a little bit further afield, about how the Alliance is supporting self-advocates in learning the skills that they need. Kind of what are those skills and how do you become an effective self-advocate? And then I want to kind of ask our other two panelists about some of that. Can you share how, sort of how the Alliance is supporting and helping to train up self-advocates?
Definitely. The first thing that we have to understand is have a good concept on who we are. So for self-advocacy, we think of going out, advocating in the community, advocating for others, but we have to take a step back and look at self-awareness. We have to know what we want to advocate for before we can go out and do that. So we really have a great training program on self-awareness, learning exactly who we are without the input of others. There's a lot of times that people with disabilities have had to have that strong influence from others for such a long time. Not that others without disabilities don't, but it seems to have such a strong impact that some of the parents or guardians or whoever we've stuck with for so long tend to have a hard time letting go. So we also have a training for parents on how self-determination should also start at home. So we want to hit those two birds with one stone there also. But we really want to help individuals figure out exactly who they are and what they want to advocate for before we just want to throw them into the world of self-advocacy. And then we can build up those self-advocacy skills. And so whether that be speaking up, making decisions for yourself, practicing that self-determination, learning dignity of risks, taking those chances. So we have a training that's based on that. And that's almost like that second stepping stone. And then we want to surround them with allies so they can be empowered. And those are not allies that speak for them at all. Those are not allies that make decisions for them. Those only supporters that they can call on them when they need to, or actually empower them when they're not even around. So they can know if they have supporters, community members, family members, whatever it may be, that they can depend on at all times and speak clearly and respectfully when they're not even in the room. And so we have that happen. We have trainings for that. And anybody can be an advocate, no matter where you are in life. We have those trainings that can help you out. You don't have to have a fancy degree. You don't have to have an experience in having a family member that has a disability. We have the training that can provide you the information that you need to start right where you are and being an advocate.
Shannon, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
Sure, Michael. I know Allie mentioned the self-determination home trainings for parents. I know they go out to learn something to help their children. Mm-hmm. Dressing up, bathing, bathroom business, feeding them, changing their clothes, and doing their laundry, that's going to be very, very important for the parents to have their children. I know they have concerns about it, especially within the household.
Definitely. And so I totally understand what you're saying, Shannon. And we took a couple of surveys from individuals from across the state, and we saw that parents or guardians, family members, were really nervous about allowing the person that they loved, the person that they cared for, to fail. They didn't want their feelings to get hurt or think that they couldn't do that. But we all get to fail, right? That's something that we do every day. And it's the most important part of learning. Like, how can we understand what we'll ever be good at if we don't have if we're not put in the position to fail? And so we put a really good training together about that, about how that self-determination starts at home. So where a parent, just like Shannon said, might be used to picking out those clothes for that child, that might be a great place to start, because what's that going to hurt? Nothing. It's not going to hurt. And that's a safe place for that child to practice that self-determination and making choices for themselves, instead of having to wait to get out into this big bad world that really doesn't have that leniency for you. It doesn't have that for you. That safe place at home is a great place to start.
That's really important. I think a huge motivator for self-advocates to become involved and to learn to develop relationships with their elected officials is to have a lot of support. And Tanner, you talked a little bit about that at the beginning. You do a lot of work to get self-advocates involved in advocacy issues. In your opinion, what do you need to know to be a good self-advocate? What does it take? What advice would you give to somebody who might, as Allie and Shannon noted, who might have some concerns or fears around speaking up to people they perceive as being, maybe a little scary or intimidating?
I would, my advice would be is to, keep advocating and let your voice be heard. And don't be afraid to ask questions. And if somebody has a concern, go to talk to your legislators, representatives and senators, and the people that are that are the lawmakers that wanna that are part of changing the law. And so that would be my advice.
Perfect. Yeah. We always say decision makers are going to make decisions about legislation with or without you. So it's always better, if you have firsthand knowledge of how a piece of legislation will impact you. They don't know until you speak up what that's going to do in your life. And it's so important. Okay. Tell us about, all right, so back to Pi Day. This is going to be super fun. In addition to pie and all the things, there's also going to be a rally on the Capitol steps at 11:30. Allie, who's going to be at that rally? What are we going to do? What can we expect from in the way of speakers and a program at that rally?
We are going to have an endless supply of powerful self-advocates who are going to be telling their story. So it's going to be personal stories on the need for support and independence and their right to live in the community, and really the barriers that stop them. So I think it's going to be really important for the people who are not in their shoes, so potential allies, potential supporters, and even the people that don't walk the same path as them, who are out there actively trying to support them, they'll be able to have a better understanding of how to do that. And then, of course, we hope to have as many legislators there as possible. They will have a better understanding of how to accurately represent them.
So do we have kind of a list of speakers, or?
Still coming in. We're still
coming
coming in. Of course, we are playing it as safe as possible with COVID. And so we hope to have about 10 to 12 speakers come, and we will be releasing that on social media closer to the actual date, closer to March 14th. And, you know, we've talked a lot about this being for Disability Awareness Month. This is our big event that we really want to honor that month. But we really want to get past it being Awareness Month. We've all had so much time to become aware, right? We are all absolutely positively, completely aware of developmental disabilities, but we want to become accepting of that. We want to become accepting that developmental disabilities are a natural part of the human existence. And I know multiple people on this show have mentioned the priority, the need, and how we actually, you know, Tom said it, put our money where our mouth is. And it's so important to do that, because if we can make the acceptance piece a priority, that means that we'll have to take action. We have to take action. There's no other way. So that's what we want to do. We want to make this event not just in honor of Developmental Disability Awareness Month, but in honor of Developmental Disability Acceptance Month, and accept that this is a priority. There is a need behind it, a need for equitable support to make sure that individuals with disabilities can live a life of independence.
That's so fundamental to making sure everybody in our community is a fully accepted part of our community. We don't have the developmental disability community and everyone else. We're one community. And events like this are so fundamental to not only providing more awareness about the issues that face them, but also opportunities to get to know folks with developmental disabilities, come and meet them, break bread or pie, break pie. Break pie. And then once you have that element, then taking action. So it's not just Developmental Disability Awareness Month, it's Developmental Disability Acceptance Month and Developmental Disability Action Month. You heard it here first.
So Carrie, too, if I can, I think this is a great opportunity, because we talked in the beginning a little bit about the waiting list being ended, over a 3-year period, and then we have this is a great opportunity for people to come out and continue to voice their concerns, share their ideas, because while it's great that the announcement happened, it happened because of the pressure the disability community placed on legislators. And so to back away from that and expect that it's just going to happen is pretty unrealistic. So I think the more information that people can share with their legislators on the importance of ending this waiting list, or just disability in general, I think is key, because a very smart person told me once that all policy is disability policy. So we need to remember that as we go forward, that whenever there's a bill being placed in front or an issue, it has a disability component to it, because we're an inclusive state. We want to be an inclusive state. So I think this is a great opportunity for everybody to come out and hear from others, share their experience, share their stories, and continue to pushing for this issue to go forward.
Well, and it can't be understated that these types of actions have an impact. As Tom noted, this wouldn't be happening without real work and real pressure and real advocacy on the part of people with disabilities, their families and supporters. This stuff matters when people show up. And this is kind of the whole point of Speak Up Arkansas anyway. When you show up, you make an impact. People have to listen to you, particularly in these kinds of numbers. You can't be ignored, but then the responsibility too is on you to be part of that effort, to show up, to seek out the Tanners and the Alleys and the Shannons, people who can help support you in making sure that your voice and your experience are added to the, you know, kind of making the case for change that will improve the lives of people with disabilities.
And I think that's why it's so important that there's groups out there like Arkansas People First, you know, the Alliance, groups who are really trying to support and provide information to self-advocates to help them become a collective voice. And so, you know, I'm just excited that we get to be part of that movement, and supporting the Alliance and Arkansas People First to carry this forward. So, you know, hopefully next year at this time, you know, it won't be like, aha, let's celebrate, we got this thing. It'll be like it's an everyday occurrence that this is what it is. So.
Sounds good.
Definitely. You know, Pi Day is just the place. We just have a pinpointed time. The most important thing is for people to come together and to share their stories with the people that need to hear them. So put the pressure on, share your stories, share anything that you can about the things that you need most.
I should say that DRA will be out there registering people to vote, among other things. If you are not already involved as a voter, if you are eligible, yours truly will be there, God willing, and the creek don't rise, with voter registrations for any and all who need them. Good deal. So, all right, I want to give everybody a chance to jump in at this point and kind of what's next for your group. Do you have any events coming up that you want to plug, or any kind of initiatives that you want the good folks to know about? Shannon, we'll start with you.
Every Tuesday, Small Area Independent Living Services is having our Taco About Tuesdays at 1 o'clock on Zoom. And we do a lot of meditating exercises, breathing techniques, and sometimes we play games and other stuff that we do for relaxing, and a lot of meditation, self-relaxing. And we always do the headspace thing at the end. So anybody's welcome to participate. It's every Tuesday at 1 o'clock on Zoom.
How do people find it?
It's on our sales Facebook page. It'll have the information on there.
And Shannon, what does SAIL stand for?
Small Area Independent Living Services. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. So you can, and we're gonna put this in the show notes too, so you can find them and get involved with. It's Taco About Tuesdays.
Taco About It Tuesdays.
I couldn't love it anymore. I'm so here for it. Spa Area Independent Living.
Right.
Facebook page. So check them out. And Tuesday at 1, get you some mindfulness about you. I love that.
Me too.
Yeah, that's really cool. Allie, what do you want people to know about that's coming apart from Pi Day?
I definitely want people to know about Pi Day. So if you haven't been listening,
if you're just now tuning in, the whole thing is Pi Day.
I don't know if you've heard, but Pi Day is coming up on March 14th.
And yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of really great stuff coming up later this year. We are having our first Partners in Policy Making class. So signups are going out in March, which is really exciting. This is a national program that we are bringing to Arkansas. So we are super excited about it. It is an extensive 8-session class. We'll have national speakers, great information. This is 1 step up from self-advocacy, 2 steps up from leadership. However you want to do the math on that, that could have been completely backwards. I'm just so excited about it. It's going to be super amazing. And you are going to come out of that with a powerful stance on advocacy. You will be able to actually get really in the trenches and be able to mold policy with the people that are creating it. You'll be able to make actual partnerships with the people that are doing that on a community, a state, and a federal level. So we're super excited about having that here in Arkansas, and our applications start going out next month.
Cool. So in the show notes, we're going to be giving you some information on how you can learn more about this amazing opportunity, Partners in Policymaking, that is coming up next month. So with that, This is a very important question. It's a tough one. So everybody get your minds right, because this is going to be a lightning round. Favorite pie? Tom, go.
Pecan.
Shannon?
Pumpkin.
Allie?
Coconut.
Tanner, what's your favorite pie?
I like all the pies. I mean, I do like pecan, and I'm not a big fan of pumpkin pie, but if I had to go for a pie, I would do a coconut or pecan. It'd be hard to choose because they all look so good.
Solid, all solid choices. Well, I expect to see everybody at Pie Day looking sharp with their pies. And kind of as we prepare for Pie Day, I want to make sure that everybody knows a little bit. We'll go through the details one more time and let you know how you can find out more. So Pie Day is happening at the Arkansas State Capitol on March 14th. And it is going to kick off with some programming at 10 a.m. in the rotunda. We're going to have speakers. We're going to have vendors. We're going to have pie. And then at 11:30, we're hoping everybody will show up and join us out on the Capitol steps for a rally to make sure that everyone in the legislature hears our voices and knows that we are here to be a fully included part of the community, and that we want our issues to be on the minds of legislators, not just on Pie Day, but all year long. I'm going to go ahead and put all the information about the sales events, partners in policymaking, so much good stuff in the show notes. So be sure to check that out. After this show airs, we're going to post the audio for this program, as we do, on Disability Rights website. So you can find that at www.disabilityrightsar.org/speakuparkansas. I'll put that in here as well, so you can listen later. You can also find us on Disability Rights Arkansas on YouTube, where you will not only get to hear our glorious voices, but see our beautiful faces and learn a whole lot more about DRA and the issues that we work with on our YouTube page. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at Disability Rights AR and on Twitter at DR Arkansas. And as always, if you need help, if your rights are not being respected or you have questions for us, you can give DRA a call toll free at 800-482-1174. That's a lot. Thank you all so much. Tom Massaw, Shannon Rivas, Allie Tomlinson, and Tanner Maxwell. Thank you all so much for being with us. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Michael.
Everybody out there, have a good rest of your week. And we hope to see each and every one of you listening at the Capitol on March 14th for Pie Day. Take care, be well, and we will see you next time.